Okay, 40 horsepower Evinrude, removing the lower unit. It's pretty simple, really. I split the cowling, and so you got two bolts in the back, you got a bolt up front, and then you got a little bolt that is kind of down here. Okay, so this will lift out of its cradle. There's a screw that holds it in. The wiring will lift out of its cradle, and once you get the cowling loose, and you kind of, you can kind of do a downward motion, and these will come out real easy. And then you really don't have to take this side off, although I did because I wanted to get some wiring out of the way. But this will kind of come down out of the way. I went ahead and took my throttle cable off, because you don't have to do that. I just did it. To start with your lower unit, down in here, there's a bolt that you got to take out. So there's two bolts. The one that's on the right, you can see that. Yeah, the one that's more silver on the right. But you want to take that off. You take that out of there, and then you can go to the lower unit and start taking the bolts off the lower unit. Alright, so I got the bolt out. The shift shaft will drop down. So now I put my battery on and tilted it up, and I'm gonna remove that lower unit. So I'll take the prop off once I get it inside. But we got a 5/8, I think, underneath. Oh, I know why. Probably get a bag and put all these bolts in, or I'll put them back in the lower unit, in the housing. 5/8, 9/16. So you could probably get a socket in the front there. So you can get a socket on this one. Oh yeah. Come out of there. Shift shaft is hung up. Alright, I'm gonna take this to the garage. It's off. I needed to get it off because I needed to see which water pump it had. There's two water pumps that they call for. One's like aluminum. I don't know if in the manual they call it silver or something. And then the other one is plastic. So the one that's on this is plastic. So there was no way to know what that was until I got the water pump off. Alright folks, I made this little deal here that hookups to my hose, my garden hose. And so, I don't know, I think that's a 3/8 inch hose if I remember right. Something like that. And then it's going into this hose, which I don't know if this is 5/8 or can't remember. But yeah, you may have to experiment with that a little bit. It's not written on the hose anywhere. What does it tell you? But anyway, that fits onto your hose fitting for your P-hole. So this just slides up over that. Sometimes you gotta hold your hand on it. You just hook that up to your garden hose. And like I said, I took the thermostat out and just ran some water. Don't run a lot of pressure, just run a little bit. Just kind of go easy until you see it coming out, and then you can kind of, adjust it. Now, on my garden hose, I have a little connector with a lever so I can adjust how much pressure I put. Anyway, that's how I flushed it. So I back flushed it. So, in these guys, there's not a tube. So you can't really hook onto the tube and go up into the power head. You got to kind of go down. I'm going to take this guy out in the yard. I'm going to take my garden hose and clean all this debris off. To start, I'll take off like the rubber grommet, and I'll take this one off too if I can get it off. Yeah. But I suspect that impeller is pretty bad. First thing I want to do is check and pressure test it. I just cleaned it, kind of just hosed it off. You got to take this top screw out. I've already loosened it, but if you get one that's stuck, I got this really big screwdriver, and you put it in a notch and you use like a rubber mallet and tap on it, and a lot of times that'll break that seal. But I've got it loose now, so I can take this guy out. And then to pressure test it, I use my little arm for my pump. Obviously Quicksilver stuff, but I'll just take this off. Just slide that off. I've got this gauge. I guess you could use just about anything that you could put a little pressure. I'm going to turn on my compressor. I'll take the regulator way down because I don't want to put a lot of pressure in there. But I can kind of regulate it with this. Then I get I got a spray bottle, some soapy water. But also, first I'll just see if it holds pressure. But yeah, just thread this guy. So that's too big for that hole. So these got adapters and things. This should be the right one. So once I got that hooked up, I just stick this in the hose like that. I turn my regulator down all the way to like 10 pounds. I'm gonna hit this one time and well, right away I can tell that we have some air around here. So that's our shift shaft seal. Yeah, fortunately it's just making its way around the edge there. Well, alright, I'll have to investigate that before I get any further.
Are you